Welcome to Honey Walia Shows. I'm your host Sonal Fool. We are heading for the elections. Elections, when we are talking about, is a federal election as well as municipal. Municipal election will be in 52 days, and they are close. Today we have with us mayoral candidate Mike Nickel. Mike Nickel does not need any introduction. He has a business owner. He has been involved in the construction business. He knows how the finances work. He has been a city councilor. So we will be talking to him and getting his opinion about what we should be doing to come out from the post incident. If he is a mayor, how he will be helping the small businesses, non-profit organizations, and the most importantly, we will talk about the economy and the budget, because what we are facing, all the businesses are basically crunching for the money. So how we will be supporting, how he will be have in mind what the plans he has. Welcome, Mike.
Thank you for having me. It's fantastic.
Looking forward. So Mike, before I start, as the COVID is rolling, we are heading to phase 2, but economy is booming. We are not shutting down as per the province. Mask is still there. What's your plan after post-pandemic? Like how you will be helping the small businesses, non-profit organizations, artists? What your plans are if you're a mayor candidate?
So at the end of the day, it comes down to a kind of a basic philosophy. Either you believe that, more government's the answer, or do you believe that less government's the answer? And I've always believed in public choice. People need to have more money in their wallets. People have to have more public choice for the things they want. And City Hall is very much like the one grocery store model. If you think about it, we pay taxes, and that one grocery store, we get roads, we used to get grass cutting, but we don't get grass cutting as much anymore, and so on, and all the way up to fire and police and so on. And the problem I see is that there's just too much City Hall in everybody's life. Too much red tape, taxes are too high, to the point that it's made us uncompetitive. So we talk about three very basic things, because right now it's what we need is to stabilize the situation. We don't need anything fancy right now. I get pretty frustrated when people keep talking about downtown. They want more bike lanes, they want to talk about a gondola and things like that. That is so out of touch with what the average Edmontonian is really facing. Do I have a job? Will my business go bankrupt? And on the line we go. Will I be able to afford to stay in my home if I'm a senior? These sorts of things are very, very material. So at the top of the list, we talk about jobs and the economy. And we have a bunch of policy that's come out, and we will continue closer to the election when we talk about how we're going to get this town back on its feet. We start with a very simple philosophy on that one too. This town was a town that built things back in the day. We need to be that town again. We need business back inside the city, not in the region. So we got to get, and I want to be an export-based economy. So I'm into supporting small and medium-sized export-based businesses, because we have to bring money into town. And that goes down to our next point, which we talk about taxes and red tape. The fact of the matter is, we have too much middle management. We have overuse of consultants, and our project management is terrible, to be quite frank. So I have put forward a plan, for example, for a 3.5% tax reduction, and where half the money goes to frontline services and half the money goes back to businesses and individuals. And where do I find this money? Flattening 2 layers of management. We've computed to be about $50 million. Reduction of consultants over the last, between 2014 and 2019, or 2013, 2018, we spent $625 million on consultants. So we're just going to say we don't need more process, we need less consultants. And between the management reductions and the right sizing of management and reduction of consultants, that's $130 million annually. And then we talk about proper project management, where we put out a plan. And if you go to our website, it's called the Independent Project Management Office. We figure we can save easily 10 to 15% on every $100 million worth of capital, with better procurement, better specifications, and just better management of the project. Nobody needs to be reminded of our LRT issues, our bridge issues, our police campus issues. Nothing seems to be on time or on budget or on scope anymore. But then last but not least, which is really, really becoming the issue of the campaign, is crime and safety. I talked to many of my supporters about a year ago, and my campaign manager, and I said crime will be the issue coming this fall. And they all kind of wondered, what are we talking about? And it's very simple. If you look at downtown core right now, or any part of the city, we have people that are broken, literally broken, wandering our streets because of trauma and addiction, be it meth or whatever. And I don't see how it's compassionate in any shape or form to let them continue to wander the streets aimlessly. Matter of fact, things have become very, very unsafe. And so I have a plan to deal with homelessness, the plan to address trauma and addiction issues, get them treatment, but they have to come off the street. They cannot stay on the street. I just had somebody in here the other day where he was literally walking through downtown in the middle of the day and somebody pulled a knife on him. That's not what Edmonton used to be like. And so when we talk about dealing with crime, and it goes in this order, right? If you don't have safety, you can't have a marketplace, right? Don't have a marketplace because people can't congregate and do business. If you don't have a marketplace, people don't pay taxes. People don't pay taxes, you don't get nice stuff. And it's just like that. So we start with the crime and safety, always looking at cutting and reducing red tape, moving the deals in town to grow the economy. And I'm focused on those export businesses, and I do believe there will be small and medium-sized export opportunities.
Mike, thank you for giving a lesson, business ethical lesson of 101. I 100% agree with you, like a chain reaction, right? To growing any business or business as a city, as a municipal, as a province, if we treat as a business, it's a different philosophy. Like, you have to have a safety and security to prosper. If you don't have, your mental health is compromised because you're paying more attention to the safety or the security instead of your business. I 100% agree with you. You did talk about the project management and the construction and the new programs or LRT and Gondola. So a lot of discussion going on Gondola too, right? People are saying is a job opportunity, but then same token, we are talking about what happened if they leave us behind or in the middle, because then it will be our burden, right? And what's your thoughts on it?
Well, I'm not the gondola guy. I'm not the bike lane guy. So let's get that right out of the gate. I've been on the public record saying that over and over. First of all, it stems from I don't believe in development in the River Valley. I think the River Valley needs to be protected, and we need to add to that inventory. And if you go to my website, I have a plan there to add to the River Valley inventory through a tax credit system that I want to work out with the province, instead of maybe like another candidate wants to give it to Ottawa. I don't think that's an Edmonton Valley. We want to keep it here. And so the River Valley so we start from that point. And if I've asked some very fundamental questions about not just the gondola, but redoing Jasper again. And the question of do we need more bike lanes? And it always comes down to the basic business model. They don't work. They don't work. Count what you do, measure what you do, and so on. What do we really need to? Should we be talking about a gondola? Honest to goodness, no. We've got bigger problems. We've got crime issues. We've got tax issues. We've got red tape issues. How is a gondola materially going to help anybody, right? In terms of this, the whole city. I don't worry just about the people along the River Valley and that kind of thing. I have 1 million people almost to worry about. So I don't see that. I see it as another distraction. So let's get back to the real issues about if you want real economic development, if you want real opportunity. And remember, I believe in freedom and opportunity for the ordinary Edmontonian. That's how you get things done. And how you get things done is by putting more money in their wallet and getting better value for the taxes they pay. I get politicians saying you have two choices. You can either raise taxes or cut services. And that's just a lie. That is a huge lie they've been telling the voters for years and years, because it's a third way. It's called being more productive with the money you have. And so we've worked quite a bit. I've worked quite a bit with the labor unions that we have, and they come up with proposals how to save us money. But I don't seem to have a management or council that really wants to hear these things. Your employees are not the problem. It's the management that's the problem, and we're overmanaged. And so at the end of the day, today, when you look at these little side projects, remember how you got to ask how does it put more money in my wallet? Will you cut the grass? Will you pick up my snow? Will the police show up? I mean, these are the things people want, not these bike lanes and gondolas.
And I agree with you, lead by example. And lead by example, like even I'm being a safety person also, and you being a construction. As a management, if we are leading by example, people will follow us, right? And they see what we are saying, we are following through, we are managing, we are implementing. I 100% agree with you. Like, getting the money and spending is one thing, but managing is totally different thing. I did read your article about the budget also. And you talk about the union issues also, the union also. Now we have so many layers. And for 4 people, employees, we have 7 supervisors and 8 managers.
Or if not more.
If it's not more.
If not more in some places.
And how you will be managing that if you're elected mayor?
So we'll be rolling out a plan about how we want to flatten these 2 layers of management. It's going to be really important because I've learned, you got to learn from the past, right? I watched Ralph Klein cut the province back in the 1990s to balance the budget. He just took 10% off the top, and it didn't work in the end. If you want my honest opinion, I think it was a mistake, because what happened is you cut 10% off the top, those people laid off just come back through the back door as consultants. That's generally what happens. And so are you really saving any money in the long run? No, you are not. Matter of fact, very often what happens is if you're not careful, you're cutting the front line guy, the person picking up the snow, picking up the garbage, the person cutting the grass, because management doesn't want to cut their positions.
No, I agree.
So that's where we're focusing on that sort of thing, and it's just a question: are you bringing value to the tax dollar? And when we talk about the real cost of red tape and management, when you have too many managers, you have too much process. Somebody's got to get an approval from an approval, and things just take time. I was just talking to one fellow the other day. 8 weeks he was waiting for a gas inspection. Another guy, I'm pushing through building permits right now for individuals because it's just taking so long. And so here's the thing. If you think the administration or bureaucrats think like you and I as business people, for example, they're not. If they did, they'd be in business. And if those same people were actually the blue collar guys, thinking like blue collar guys on the front line, well, they'd probably be there. So they're someplace else. And I don't really think my administration is client focused. I don't think they really understand the cost of money, and particularly time. Time is what we don't have a lot of anymore because we're in financial straits. We got to get to it, and we just can't wait. And so that is why I tend to be a little more. People say, well, forward, direct, let's put it that way, and because you and I, we just don't have it. We see it on the streets every day, and so let's just get on with it. It's basically the answer.
So I have another question, and I know you are very passionate about, and we have spoken this earlier too, the homeless and the housing problem or affordable housing problem. This has been going on, and politicians, I don't want to say politicians, but this has been part of the political discussion, especially at the time of election. Is a 10-year plan, is a 5-year plan, is a 4-year plan. This last few months we talked about in 10 years, it will be solved.
Well, and that was just ridiculous. It was absurd because homelessness will not disappear, and it's a little more complicated than some people say. Oh, let's just get them an apartment and leave them there. It doesn't work like that. This is a very diverse group in terms of our clients, and let's just talk about how the plan for homelessness comes together. So if you think about it, there's about 2,500 people deemed homeless right now in the city of Edmonton. Out of 1 million, you compare that against 1 million people, you go like, boy, that doesn't sound like a big number, but these people need a lot of help. And the system right now is so disjointed, it's just not happening. So let's go to the first group. 20% of the people that we have that are homeless, I define as they're just materially broken for a number of reasons: trauma, addiction issues, and so on. They need to be off the streets into treatment beds, and because just pushing them into the shelters and then kicking them out of the shelters and pushing them back for them to wander around is not compassionate. We have to help them. So it is finding those treatment beds. It is getting the shelters to set some minimum standards, and then just actually getting it done. And last week we were talking about, this week, we were talking about my motion. I brought the motion for minimum standards for shelters. And this is where I get very frustrated with Mayor Iveson and City Council. They had 8 years on this file. And why is it Mike Nickel from Mill Woods bringing the forward on minimum standards? And you begin to wonder if they really did anything at all. Their answer is to throw more money at it, right? And hoping it sticks. That's why they stuck them in the Shaw Conference Center, which I did not support. Why they stuck them in hotels in these places, and they're just it just doesn't fit. I mean, that sort of situation. So we got to take them small batch amount of time. It's going to be a grind. That's what I tell people, particularly when I was in Chinatown. You just got to see it, right? Also, I'm not the safe injection site guy. I do not, but that's a provincial thing. That's what everybody needs to understand. I don't support safe injection sites because I don't see them leading that to treatment, right? It just seems to be enabling the slow descent into that inevitable car crash. And then we have the other end of the homeless. And I think of your typical vet coming back from wherever, right? And he's probably got a lot of trauma from his situation. He just needs a place to stay. But it doesn't need a lot of bureaucracy around it to find him a place to stay. So I've said for those people who have economic hardships, they need public choice. Why go to the one grocery store system we've got right now, which is the government? I say, we'll give you a voucher for $1,200 a month. Go find a place. For six months, we'll get you settled down, find you some supports, because it takes time. It doesn't happen like this. It takes time, and then over time, we'll slowly remove those supports, the subsidy, as they get back on their feet. But they get to choose where they go. They get to remove themselves out of that environment. Like, say, if they're stuck in the core, maybe they want to take something over in the West End or in Mill Woods, just a normal neighborhood, and that you got to get them out of the environment, right? If you want to get them on the road to recovery, there's a lot of people who are recent immigrants and so on. They just need a hand up, not a handout. And so that is kind of there is a continuum of care that we have to put in, and we have to improve flexibility. But the other side also is we have to make the people responsible for this file accountable. I don't see us measuring anything of merit with regards to a lot of the people in this industry. And so I will not stand by anymore. It's not right. I find it morally wrong, actually. We can't continue turning a blind eye on Jasper Ave in particular. It's madness.
You're watching Honeywalia Shows, and I'm your host, Sonal Fool. Today we have with us Mike Nickel. He's a mayor candidate, and we are talking about accountability, implementation, measures how we can make other people or the management responsible for the expenses. Money is not easy to grow, and it does not grow on the trees. It's very easy to collect, but then if we are not accountable or we are not watching how we are spending, results are not as we wanted. Mike, my next question to you is, like, we always talk about the safety, security, and then the people, right? The common masses, but we never talk about the people who are providing it. I'm talking about the Edmonton police, right? Mm-hmm. They have what they go through, like providing them the security, right? And then things so they can do their job safely, securely, because they have family too. We are also accountable to them too. What's your plan, Sarah, for them?
So I was not the guy I did not support defunding the police. I think we don't need less beat cops, we need more beat cops. And the difference between, and I tell a lot of young folks this, is the difference with them when we were growing up here is that the police officer used to be through our neighborhood. We knew the police officer. They were out of their cars and they were in the neighborhoods talking to people. I'm a firm believer in the broken window theory out there. If you take care of the small stuff, you mitigate a lot of the big stuff. And so I just announced, for example, a community policing initiative for downtown core. I think if we're going to get the core back on its feet, we're going to have to get cops walking the beat again. And because people will not feel safe until they see them there handling the situation. And the same goes for White Ave. And so this is part of this homeless thing we talked about earlier about streaming into the appropriate places. But let's be honest, right? There's two sides to this coin. There's also the EPS is a very large organization, and it's a very expensive organization. So we got to talk about the value proposition and that we do. And so this is something I've talked to the chief about where the money's going and what's appropriate for what. I want to help the commission because council only sets the budget. We don't get to tell the police what to do. Politicians should not be telling the police, the people with the guns, for example, and the tasers, what to do. We have a citizens board there. That's how it's set up. So we got to convince the police commission and thereby the police about getting back on the street and improving the retail experience. Let's be honest. When that car pulls up, it's different now. It's because, for example, I've heard it from lots of people, the police car pulls up, they get concerned right away. And as opposed to when I was going through this, so I'm in trouble, but the police tried to get you out of trouble, not into trouble. And so that seems to be the mentality in the public, and that's what we got to fix. But then there is a better allocation of resources, more beat cops, and then holding the whole system accountable, because it's not just the police. There's a judiciary, there is a prison system, there is these things that are also, one has to ask the question, why is this wash, rinse, repeat? Particularly on serial offenders. That's provincial, that is federal, but we still have to live with it. So again, don't turn a blind eye to the question of this multiple arsonist in the River Valley. Why is this multiple arsonist coming back and back and back and back and lighting fires in the River Valley? Why isn't he in jail? And that's one of the questions that, as mayor, I'm planning on tackling, because the councillor can't do it, but the mayor has an obligation to do it, right? So
Mike, you basically nailed the call. You nailed it because we have police who under municipal. Then we have jails who are provincial or federal.
Yeah.
Judiciary system is provincial. So there are three different segments of the safety and security for the common masses. But sometimes they don't talk to each other, or they don't share information.
Agreed.
And as a mayor, you have given us your plan. You will be able to talk and address the issue with provincial as well as federal, and trying to solve the issue.
And it's like this. My approach is fundamentally different than the city council and a lot of other people's, what I call the political class. We have politicians at all orders of government that are process happy, right? They want to talk about the problem. They want to discuss the problem. They want another task force. Oh, good. No more task force. Okay, enough. We've studied enough, right? And it's like in my business. You can fix the result and let the process vary, or can you fix the process and let the results go all over the map? We got to focus on the result, making the streets safer, trying to deal with those repeat offenders, actually stream some people into treatment for their trauma and addiction, and we got to focus on the raw number. That's what we got to get, and focus on the result. And all three orders of government say these are the numbers we have to meet, and then we track, measure, publish. Then people are held accountable, and it'll be rough. Let's not kid ourselves. For the 6 to 12 months, 18 months, it's going to be rough.
You're watching Honey Walia show, and we are talking to Mayor candidate Mike Nickel. He has given his views and very passionate about the public security and safety, police reforms, and how we can bring the economy back to Edmonton, especially downtown and Jasper. Mike, what is your message to our viewers?
It's very simple. This is a watershed election. This election, I've never seen before. Business and labor are very much on the same page. They want change, and they want a dramatic change. They don't see value for what they're getting. Matter of fact, people are getting poorer, not richer. So at the end of the day, there's a lot of insecurity. There's a lot of instability, which thereby causes a lot of anxiety and mental health and so on. We see it on our streets every day. So the trick here is this is our opportunity to change course. And this is the chance to change council. Sometimes it reminds me a little bit of 1997 when there was a dramatic change in city council. Again, we had a very similar situation where the Edmonton finally said enough and threw out a bunch of councillors and the mayor. And this is where we're at today. If you need to get involved, you need to step up. You don't have to, you know what, you don't even have to vote for me, right? Just look at everybody and step up, because right now, government can't do it all. You and I can't do it all. We all have to do it together. And this election isn't about me. It's about all of you. And I keep saying that over and over and over. It's about you. And that's what we have to focus on.
Thank you, Mike. So we talked to Mike. He gave us his opinion. We are 52 days away from the election. As Mike said, I'm going to echo his word. If we need a change, we have to do our homework. We have to come forward. We have to speak. We have to vote. We have to use our democratic rights. Please do your homework. If you have any questions for Mike or my team, please contact them. Their information, their contact information is running down. Please go to his website. Do your homework. Come out. Vote, use your democratic right. Plus, please, if you're looking for a change, you want to change an Edmonton economy as well as the political system, read, do your homework, come forward, vote, raise questions to your politician, and say why we are where we are and how we can change. Thank you. Keep watching Honeyballer Shows. I'm your host, Sonal Phol. Till we meet again, stay safe.